Did I throw you off?
That's all right. No, I got carried away by thinking all that wine. Oh, well, we were talking about all that wine, and you know, it's something
Well, no,
else.
you were talking about a privilege being to eat at high table.
Yeah, and you meet these people, and one of the people I met, he said, I said, and what is it that you do? And he said, I'm a diplomat. And I said, a diplomat? Shouldn't you be down in London doing government things if you're a diplomat? He said, not that kind of diplomat, as if I was completely stupid. And it turned out his expertise was diplomas, scrolls. And he was among several of the people that told me how particular the paper was, generation to generation, century to century, and how any scholar can either have it lab tested or just know themselves by practically looking at it what age and era certain papers are. And one of these gentlemen said, I said, well, if I was going to forge a document and I was going to say that that document came out of the 1600s or the 1700s, I would have to put it on paper from the 1700s, and I wouldn't be able to find any. I can't go down to, you know, Blackwell's, I was going to say Blackford's, but Blackwell's, and buy a sheet of 17th century manuscript paper. And he said, no, but there are blank papers at the back of manuscripts at the Bodleian. And I went, oh, and that set me off.
Well, it's a wonderful story, and I really like it because in capers, it isn't driven by a suspense curve or by a detecting curve. It's actually driven by a, you know, here's some guys getting up to no good. Will they get away with it?
Yeah, right. I love that term caper. I have to remember that.
Well,
because it really is a caper.
It is
That's
a caper,
exactly
and it's quite a lot. The first two books, I would really call them classic PI books, Dead Aim and Aim for the Heart, and your Ridley Pearson books really are thrillers, primarily,
really
policing with policing elements and all. But this book, to me, you know, was glorious fun because, well, it's got a wonderful sense of humor, very sharp, but it does have all these intricate plot sorts of things that you like to bring into your thrillers, but instead of having a suspense curve pulling it all together, you've got this sort of fun curve pulling it all together, and the malfeasance is there, and it gets decked, you know, the bad guys kind of get theirs in the end, but in less traditional form maybe than in a detective story.
Do you remember a movie called Charade? I loved that movie.
Or The Sting.
Or The Sting. And Charade had dead bodies in it, and yet that wasn't the focus of it. It really was, now that you say caper, I think of it as a caper because there was a big solution to a puzzle more than, you know, anything else. They had to go find this money, and nobody could find the money. And it was, it is different in that there are dead bodies surfacing all over the place, but I love that story. I've actually been toying with a way to bring that into a different world and sort of retell it in script form.
Well, I think you have a real talent for it because capers depend upon pacing and upon intricate plotting and research, all of which, you know, are skills that you have. So I sort of thought, like, here's a whole new persona for you, which I loved. And it fits. It's kind of a classic British form, too, because it is such a puzzle, and it really suits the place that you set it. If you were going to write an Oxford novel, which you did, then I think that to write this particular
It's a good place
story,
for a puzzle story, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's erudite, you know, in the sense that you do draw upon, as you say, the diplomat and various other skills.
Right. Those guys are in there.
Yeah, you've got, and also that whole sort of schoolboy prank thing is wonderfully British. And it's surprising how Dons are, how juvenile these extremely erudite guys are. It may be the drink.
But you know, part of it, as you know, is that their school system is so different than ours. And I wasn't even aware of this until I went over there, but they sort of declare a major at the age of 17, and there isn't a liberal arts. They study that major for years and years, and they will dabble in other things, but they aren't given much weight. And when they get, if they take that element and the area of their research seriously, the area of their study seriously, and move on to the professor level, this diploma, this diplomat, was a terrific guy, but his entire world revolves around 16 years of scrolls between sheriffs from different counties in England back in the 1600s.
Right. What you
and
get,
that's all he works on his whole life.
Absolutely. What you get is some incredible experts, but they are so focused.
Yeah,
you know?
and that makes them a little boyish because they don't know much outside the world other than their 16 years of scrolls.
Well, and they also live in college and are taken care of, and it sort of perpetuates a lot of things. But I thought you caught it really well. I had so much fun with it.
Fun.
Well, it was, and it was an absolute treat. I have to say that I approached being an editor with an author of your stature and experience with some trepidation.
Oh, nonsense. I had so much fun with you as an editor. In fact, I was singing your praises the other day. Someone was complaining, it was last night, someone was complaining about so much of commercial fiction these days has, they're just errors all the way through the fiction. And I admit that even in a book that I've written, there's 3 or 4 typos, and I've been over these things. I've edited them 8 times. I've been through the copy edit 2 or 3 times. There's no way there should be that many, but there are. And when you work with Barbara Peters, there are 0.
Oh.
And it's phenomenal. No, you have an amazing eye for detail. You get the facts right. You get them cleanly copy edited. I mean, I think the books that Poison Pen Press are turning out are among the most perfect books that are being done right now.
Well,
And
you're
it's an
extremely
honor
kind.
to be part of that. It
Well,
really
thank
is.
you. Well, it certainly
really
was an
is.
honor for us, and as I say,
Because you pay attention.
I was scared to death.
Oh, no.
And you were really kind. But before we run out of time, what I really wanted to point out, and one thing I think was a real benefit of your working with us as a small press, is that you got to design these books.
Yeah, which was so nice of you to let me. I mean, there's no more greater thrill than being able to create the covers yourself and with your guys' guidance. And it meant the world to me.
Well,
because,
it was so much fun
you know,
for us. This is actually a painting that the warden of Wadham College gave you permission to
Right.
use to construct this.
And that is Wadham College.
It
about
is.
200 years ago.
From the garden. The statue, if it were around, would be over there that we
over here.
mentioned, back there, I think. And I thought you did the musical thing very well, and I love the colors. But the cover that I particularly wanted to mention, in case she happens to watch this,
She probably will.
is the cover for Dead Aim, because Ridley's mother, Betsy, painted this beautiful pastel expressly for us to use
Yeah.
as the cover.
She was very sweet about that.
Well, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. We were delighted to give her
Yeah.
credit
Well,
in the book.
She's so thrilled about it. Someone
she-
actually recently mailed a copy for her to sign, and that was a shining moment.
Oh, that's wonderful.
She's a very accomplished fine artist, and she's had solo shows all across the country, but always in oils and acrylics. And just last year, she went over to Scotland for a while and got into a whole pastel theme and came back. And some of this new work I just absolutely love.
Well, it certainly makes a superb book cover. Is she
It's
going to
sure
do the
fun to see.
painting for Aim for the Heart?
I don't know. I think we may, if we're going to see what you guys think. I'm trying to assemble actually some legitimate images of airplanes landing at a very rural airport. And we'll see how that comes out.
Well, since you have total cover control.
No, I don't.
Words you will never hear again.
This is a team.
Well,
team play.
It really has been a family kind of experience.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
really,
fun. You and
really
your
fun.
mom, my husband, and
I know,
myself,
it's great.
and my daughter who worked on the press.
It's so much fun. It's made this year so much fun for me. It's
Well-
such a thrill to have Concerto come out.
And a thrill for us, too. I hope you have a great time with it on your book tour.
Thank you.
And
I'm
thanks
sure I
so
will.
much, Wendell,
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
for coming to join us today. And the only other thing I can say is that I hope someday you may feel inspired to write a 4th one.
Well, thanks. I'm sure I will.
It'd be grand. This has been a wonderful interview for me to do, as you can see. Lots of fun. Thank you so much for joining us today. And please come back for another interview in the Criminal Calendar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.